It's that time of year. Tax season is upon me. Here in like a week, I gotta declare all my taxes and liabilities so I can write off about $6,000 worth, I think it is. This is done month by month, with starting in April of last year over there and December of last year over there. So obviously you see the first one. I only took the one because I basically started the last week of April for Synergy. Then I started on with Quality in Synergy in May. Then I started adding companies, which I found out later was a mistake. And you can see Classic is in there, and Pinnacle, I think, in June, and they're all small 300 to 700 mile runs. I wasted a lot of money in transportation costs here. I got to see a lot of country, I guess, traveling, but I lost money in the month of June. July was kind of the same, as I started somewhere in there with Norton. Then August, I only have 2 on record because technically the last one there and the last one there merge into August a little bit, so there's actually about 4 trips in August, but I took some time off and was in Miles City, Montana, visiting friends, and then I visited family and stuff like that on those runs to Great Falls. And so I hung out with them and took some extra time doing that instead of running, so I must have been ahead somehow from all those small trips. Then it starts back up again, and I have some small trips, but you can see how I start to stay with Quality and Synergy more than those other ones, and only occasionally have one from one of the other third parties, and that's because I realized right about then that my best bet is to stay with Quality and Synergy. I just couldn't make myself give up on the other 3. That were just too short of runs. If you have a tow car, you can make it work, but without a tow car, you're spending half of your transportations getting there and back from those small runs, and it doesn't pay. By the time you do all that, you make 100, maybe 200 profit if you're lucky. And I'd rather run out west for Synergy and Quality and make 500 to 1,000 profit on the way back by, depending on if I stay in hotels or not. But I thought I'd show you what I was up to today and laid out a year worth of trips. And it doesn't really look like it, but I keep meticulous records when it comes to the trips, and everything is stapled in with receipts. I just broke my stapler, but good thing I was all the way done when it happened. But she is ready for tax time, so I really only have to go through that many with the CPA, which isn't too bad. $38, I think I count, maybe 40 trips in the entire year. And this year, and there's only 52 weeks in a year, so this makes sense, and this year I'm only going to try to aim for about the same 40 weeks worth and do a week at a shot like I just did. I'm in Sandy, Oregon, and yeah, all my stuff looks all tore up, but that's because I've been taking the time to organize this for the CPA so that we can sit down and do 40 trips worth of where was I at this time and that time. I'm going to take the $60 per diem for food, because you rarely ever make or eat $60 worth of food every day, so I'm going to take that and count it out. But then the fuel is going to depend on per state and whether you paid fuel taxes in that state or not, and so on like that. So the fuel receipts are important. And then every 2 times I stay in a hotel, so $200 worth, I can write off about $400 worth. But then past that, the lodging doesn't really too much count in. They only give you kind of $400 worth that you can write off a month, give or take. And I've stayed at a lot more than that, but I do it for the points so I can get the free nights. And that is pretty much it. And then you got miscellaneous other stuff, but you have the main categories are food, fuel, lodging, and then miscellaneous business expense, like having to buy my staples or stapler, or those straps that I had to buy the other day for that cutaway. Anything business related, bags to pack stuff with, all that you can write off as a miscellaneous business expense. I can pretty much write off anything, really, and the majority of it is just to try and not be liable for about $6,000 worth, I would guess, that I'm liable for otherwise. But we can easily write all that off. We just have to go through all this. I just thought I would show you what the end, looks like for the end of the year, since I've got it out. In case you're wondering, and yeah, you probably average about 40 trips a year, give or take, because that's, there's 52 weeks in a year, and you got to figure there's some slow times, and then there's some times that you just don't want to go out. Like there was a week, probably not really a week, but it was about 4 days, I think, that I stayed at Red Roof in the middle of summer for some reason. I forgot now why, but I decided to stay there. Probably orientation would be my guess for one of the other companies. I was staying there, and 4 days worth for that, and the orientation for those companies cost me time and money on the road, and you learn from your mistakes, and I should have just stayed with Quality and Synergy because they worked as a better company for me. I'm not saying that the other ones are bad. Pinnacle, Norton, and Classical will keep you moving on smaller runs, and if you have a tow car, they will keep you in business, and you can make profit and you can make money with them. But without a tow car, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. But anyway, I'm down to those 2 bags. I'm going to probably ditch or get rid of this sleeping bag. It's just too puffy, I guess. It's like a big puff jacket. And it would fit in this big 30-liter, but literally it takes the whole thing up. So I can't fit nothing else in there. However, if I don't have the bag and I wear all my coats, my layering system of coats, which I showed you before in a different video, I think I can get everything to fit in this 30-liter. Underwear's clean, excuse that, but because my 22-liter backpack is in there underneath, and the idea is I'm going to pile everything in there, and I think I can fit it all in the 30 to potentially, for right now, take it back to my storage. I went to my mom's house, but I didn't get rid of much, and I sorted through this like 3 times, and I was just like, I need this, I need this, I need this, and I just couldn't get rid of it. I think I have it down to what I absolutely need now, and once I drop this off at the CPA, they're gonna do that electronically and scan everything into and then I'll have electronic record of what I need, and then I'm gonna ask them about. I don't have the Lyft receipts or the Uber receipts or some of the hotel receipts because that was all electronic sent to me. I have it in my email, but I'm gonna have to take time to print that out, I think, and then take some time next week or something to go back through and figure out by the dates when I stayed at what hotel. But on average, I think I have enough mixed in hotel lodging receipts already that I can count off each month without maybe having to print those. And I still have to ask the CPA on, because I probably on average spend $30 at a shot in a lift, give or take, and I've had a lot of lifts. So I'm going to have to ask about writing that off, if it's worth my time to print that off, to write it off, or what. And then we'll get it all in the digital PDF when we're done. And then I won't need any of this for this year. And then I'll start on next year, which is over there. And I only have 3 of them on me now. And then, I can't remember, 4 or 5 in the storage that I left there because they're this year's stuff that I still need to go through. So I was keeping them separate because I was working on this. But that's the gist of what I'm doing today. I'm just sitting at a Quality Inn. Mainly I was waiting to get paid by Synergy, but they paid me pretty fast for this one. And I'll be on the way back. I think in total, the payment on final delivery here was $997, but I'm going to have to take probably about $400 worth in transportation costs back. So, and then what I already have in the bank, I think I made somewhere between $500 and $600 profit on this one, but that's also counting in that I paid for 4 hotels, and I stayed at 2, maybe 3 of them free this time. And the funny thing about it is this trip was supposed to take 2,225 miles direct from Goshen to here. You can spread that out a little here or there if road obstacles come up, stuff like that. Or I wanted to go visit my family, so I took a little bit of a detour, and the ending mileage on that one was 2463. So I went about 203, I think it was, come out 2 miles more than I necessarily had to on this last RV, but that's within what they range for 2,000 miles. You have about 200 miles extra that you can do to get around roads and do whatever you want with on the RV without being excessive mileage. And a 4-day trip actually took me almost 8 days to complete. So I'm living up to my grandpa's status. They're all calling me grandpa at dispatch because in Synergy, she has a 78-year-old guy that can drive there faster than me, apparently. So, and then I joked about it with Quality, and now he's calling me Gramps now too because of that. So, I have a record of being safe. I haven't been in an accident yet, and cross my fingers and knock on wood and fake wood and stuff like that. Nothing like that will happen to me, for saying it, but I tend to take my time because I take the time to live in these vehicles on the way across, because to me, I only have to pay $100 for the 2 cell phone bills and $77 a month for storage for that stuff, which I'm trying to determine whether I'm going to take that with me or store it, because I think once I get rid of the papers, I could probably just take that with me each time and then fly at the higher. See, now I can fly at the higher end airlines like Delta and United, and they don't charge extra for bags. And with that, not being costing me extra, I could take that with me now that I'm. But if I want to take Frontier and stuff like that, I'll have to suck it up and get a storage. And that way I don't have bags with me. I do have a day pack over there that I could use and put just my work stuff in. Basic work stuff that I need in. Leave all that in storage. And, do all this with the CPA. And then I could use the cheap airlines like Frontier this summer, and that might be worth it, because sometimes you can get from, let's say, Denver, Colorado up to Chicago for $40. Phoenix is about the same, and LAX about the same. So this summer it could be worth leaving that stuff in storage and paying a little extra in storage, because I got $77 a month to do it. But that way I don't have bag fees and whatnot, and then I can get away with dirt cheap airline tickets back. Because if I could get all the way back to Chicago for $150, $200 worth, when you figure the $50 plane ticket, give or take, and then your bus and Lyft and whatever transportation costs to get all the way back. If I could do that this summer, I could really make bank, and then still be able to do these 2,000-mile runs out to the West Coast until I get tired with the West Coast. And I'm thinking go southwest and go to Texas round trip. Then the way I can do that, like I explained to you before, I go down to Texas, drop something off with an RV for Synergy, and then take Qualities Mexico cutaway trucks back north to Wisconsin, and it makes a round trip the same as coming out west would be one way. And anyway, I could do the Texas trips and do the southwest trips in the wintertime, and then go to the northwest, which is basically ending in Oregon and Washington and maybe Northern California. Sometimes Idaho and Utah, and flying back. And if I can fly back for dirt cheap, which especially out of Seattle, you can fly back on Alaska for, I think it's like $100, which ain't bad. I could stand to make some good money this year now that I've cut the other companies out that weren't making me money. I stick to those two. And I think those two are going to pay off, because at least, just looking this week again, they have at least 4 runs a piece, I think it is, going clear out west each. So that's 8 runs. And my odds are decently good, at least till summertime. For the next 3 months, anyway, of being able to get right one of those 2,000-mile runs right off the bat, because they're limited on drivers right now. But come summertime, whenever all the retirees come back, I might have to fight, give or take. But both companies have told me that since I went year-round, and they didn't, I get top-tier pick of stuff because I stuck with them year-round, which is good. I'm starting to be on the favored end of that deal. I'm not the new guy coming in the door. I'm finally one of the favored transporters that has been proven himself the entire year. So anyway, this video is getting pretty long. I'm going to upload it here. I just wanted to show you what I've been up to today and kind of my journey last year, the 1 month, and then 4 in that month, and so on. Those 2 months right there of June and July last summer, they cost me a lot of money. Just 2 mini short trips. And then I gave up on it and took a little bit of a break in August. Probably partially because of that. I think I was losing money. And part of that is also when the retirees come back and I was the new guy. So I was having to fight with all the people that, because the drivers double up in the summertime. They'd rather drive out in the nice weather, and I don't blame them. When you're retired, you don't want to fight all the snow and all that. So that might have been part of what the deal was there with August. But as you can see, the colder months, I was busier. And Synergy will back-to-back you in the wintertime. They'll give you 3 of those 2,000-mile runs back-to-back-to-back if you want. I mean, I could work for Synergy all month long, pre-planned, if I wanted to, but I also have Quality that I gotta run for, so that is an option where I could run Quality once a month and run Synergy 3 times in the month. Not saying that I want to favor Synergy over Quality. It's just nice that they offer that right out the door. Like, say if you take this 2,000, we can offer you 2 more 2,000 runs. I mean, hard to turn down at that point. But I'm also keeping Quality because of that Texas round trip back, And then they also have stuff going clear out west. So it makes it worth my time to keep them on. And then both companies pay you pretty well, pretty fast and pretty well right off the bat. And don't have the problems with the pay and everything else. So anyway, this video's getting pretty long. I'm just rambling on at this point. So like and subscribe, leave comments, check the description below for merchandise available. And I'll catch you on the flip. Peace.